Okay, so Skeleton Crew episode 1. And this was mostly dedicated to Wim and Fern's day to day. A little bit of Neil, and KB is basically a sidekick of Fern at this point. But already we know who, at least I believe we know who Jude Law's character is. Now, I'm not sure if he was actually legit a pirate or if this was some sort of sting operation, but we see pirates after a chyron showing that pirates have been going after ships in the outer rim of the empire, because we have to show the empire, not the empire, the New Republic in a bad light. So, we see this poor man, who I assume is the captain of the ship, die, get thrown out of an airlock, only to find out that there is literally nothing in the cargo hold. Now, the way the leader was talking, I am guessing that he was a new leader of the group, that it wasn't a well-oiled machine. So that's why I'm thinking that this was some sort of sting operation that his character took on by himself. Because he's a Jedi, we saw that in the trailers, he's a Jedi, so he should be able to take care of a bunch of pirates. Because why else would he be so smug that this is going to be a big payout and there's one coin? So, yeah. Very bizarre, but I'm pretty sure that was Jude Law's character. Now, how he ends up... First, how the ship, which I'm thinking is the same ship that they, that we saw them boarding, the pirates boarding, how it ended up on this planet, and it looks like it had been there for a while. So I'm not sure if, maybe I'm wrong, maybe the ship is a different ship, but I just find it interesting that they start off... Now, I realize that they want to show how despicable the pirates are and how brazen they are, but it just seems odd that Wim would find what turns out to be a buried ship. And all I can think of is that it's the same ship that we saw. How it got buried so deep, who knows? But anyway, I'm also getting the feeling that Wim's father, by the end of either the show or the season, I don't know if it's supposed to be multiple seasons, is going to get a better work-life balance. Because it's commendable that he's working his ass off to provide for his son, because he's obviously a single parent. But obviously Wim wants some dad time. He doesn't want to be completely on his own. Also, the first scene of Wim was him playing with his toy figurines. And I just had Dark Helmet flashbacks to that. Only Wim's dad wasn't thrilled that he's playing with these toys. I guess at 10 years old, you're already supposed to be close to an adult, and adults don't play with toys anymore, which first off, how boring is that? And secondly, 10? They're already adults at 10? So, we find out that Wim and Neil are friends, and Fern and KB are friends. So Wim is obsessed with Jedi. And Wim oversleeps because he's supposed to be studying, when in reality he's going through these images of a bunch of things, including a Jedi. And he finds something when he is trying to make it to school because he has a placement test. It's a career assessment, so they know what cog in the machine of the Republic are they going to fit in. So it's not a matter of, this is what I want to be when I grow up. It's more of this is what the test tells you you're going to be. And I've taken career assessment tests. I think most people have. And they usually suck. They usually come up with stuff that isn't you. I mean, they might have some things that you recognize, but for the most part, they're crap. Maybe they've gotten better since I've taken them. But, that's when he finds this object. And Neil is trying to let people know that Wim missed the bus. And he's trying to get there, but he hasn't gotten there yet. He's taking a shortcut. So one of the robots finds Wim, which I might add, the robot seemed less than thrilled that Neil... First he asked Neil, the class, for questions. And then when Neil tells him what's the problem, the robot basically chastises Neil for asking a question when that's what you wanted them to. Just because it wasn't about the test, but it was a legit concern. There was a kid going to miss it. Well, because Wim was late, he has to go see basically the principal. And now it is unclear why Fern has to. We would see her racing her speeder through the streets, but it was never clear that she was doing it during school time or that she was going somewhere she shouldn't. That wasn't clear to me as to why she was in trouble for that. And we see his father instead of the principal, and the father will not let Wim explain himself. And that was pissing me off so much. I realize he's overworked and, he's trying really, really hard to provide for Wim. But Jesus Christ, let the kid explain. Don't treat him like some dum-dum who only lives to inconvenience you. I mean, he had a perfectly good excuse. He overslept, he missed his bus, and he tried to take the speeder. Well, actually, it wasn't even a speeder, it was some sort of a scooter, some sort of a bike. And he tried to take a shortcut, which I don't know why he thought going through that area of the forest was a shortcut, but that's what he was doing. So instead of yelling at the kid, why not let him explain? So that kind of ticked me off, even though it's obvious his father cares deeply for Wim. Especially at the end when he goes into the forest searching for Wim, and only to watch Wim and the kids being taken away and with this auto-engaged ship. So he obviously cares about his son, but at that point it didn't sound like it, and actually Wim probably wonders how much his father cares for him because he never spends time with him. Even Neil is getting bored with Wim's flights of fancy because Wim is totally obsessed with Jedi. So either this was a sting operation, like I initially thought with the pirates, or he's a con man. It could go either way. But either way, it seems like he does have the Force. At least based on the trailers, it looks like Jude Law's character has the Force. But, so Wim is dreaming of adventure. And, Neil isn't doing that sort of thing because even though he hangs out with Wim, he likes Wim, they're friends, he has what I would call a happy home life. Not that Wim isn't happy at home, but yes, his father provides for him, but his father's never home. So they rarely interact. And when they do interact, Wim's father is short with him. So we see Neil's home life, and it seems to be pleasant. He has siblings. We didn't see the parents, but he looks like he has a happy home life. You know, the younger ones are in the first floor. He's taking a bath, that sort of thing. Whereas Wim wishes for something more than what his life is like. And that only happens when you think your life is shit. So, Fern, we see a tiny bit of her home life. She is a tough girl. She hangs out with KB, who we know next to nothing about. And Fern's mother, I think, is a perfectionist. Well, maybe not a perfectionist, but she's a taskmaster. She's a driver. She really wants Fern to succeed. And I think that's why Fern is rebelling and doing the speeder bike races. And, you know, she's saying how, oh, you have to be tough with these guys and blah, blah, blah. She does that, which I might add, I don't know if it's just that the actress is actually older than 10, or she just has this air about her that she's older than the others, because she just strikes me as older than the other kids. Maybe because she's acting more grown up because she's being tough. I don't know. And her mother was like, "Oh, you dropped this badge. It shows that you're top of your class and how proud she is of her." And it makes me wonder if Fern feels like she's trapped by her mother's expectations. And maybe Wim feels a little bit of that too with his father, but it seems less like that and more, I want something more than this life is giving me. I mean, even Fern told him to grow up because he was obsessed with Jedi. He was convinced that they were going to enter a Jedi temple, and it turns out it was a big old spaceship. And because of the way it was buried, nobody realized it. Now, the only thing we know about KB is that she is friends with Fern. KB is got this Geordi LaForge like visor, but unlike Geordi, she can see. She just uses that to enhance her other senses. Her sight, she has all sorts of doodads that she can use to, basically she's a mechanic. She's a mechanical engineer. And, so they're exploring, and all of a sudden, now the way the trailers made it seem that Wim touched something that set off the autopilot of this ship. But I don't think so. I think it was that they reactivated the robot. Whether it's because they were trying to power it up so they could open it and get out. But something happened to close the door, and slowly they start putting everything online because they think that that's how they're going to get out. And yeah, right now Fern, I'm intrigued by her, but I'm not exactly sure I like her because she, in KB's words, is mean. She's being mean to Wim. She's being mean to both boys, but especially Wim. And it's just, Wim just has an imagination. He really is fascinated by Jedi. He thought this was a Jedi temple. Turns out it's not. And I'm pretty sure that that robot that was brought to life, even though they don't know it at the time, is what sent this ship on autopilot to parts unknown. So it ends with Wim's father watching the kids flying away. And he can tell that the kids don't want to be there. Or, because of the way they're acting. But, then again, it's possible that he could think that the girls, which it's possible he doesn't know who they are, might have something to do with it. But they also are trying to help Wim. When Wim looks like he's about to fall out of the spaceship to his death, they help him back in. So, that's pretty much all that's happened this first episode. Most of it was dealing with the kids day to day. And, obviously this takes place after the fall of the Empire. It was mentioned that it was during the what is it now? The New Republic, are we on? During the New Republic era. Now, but like I said, they are, again, crapping on the New Republic by pointing out that, this assessment is to help you figure out where you belong in the Republic to ensure that peace reigns. I'm sorry, that doesn't sound really, obviously peace is good, but it just, the way she made it sound, it was really Orwellian. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see where the adventures take them, how they meet Jude Law's character, because we've seen trailers of it, but I'm really curious how accurate the trailers are, because trailers have a way of making things seem like it seemed like Wim touched that green button and that's what caused all of this to happen, when in reality he looked like he was going to, but then he was called away, so he never got a chance. So it wasn't Wim who did this. It was probably actually KB who was trying to power up the generator, so in order to open that opening so they could leave. Unfortunately, they could only just sit and watch as the ship powered up and left the solar system. Let's see if there's anything else I'm missing from this episode. I think I've covered it all. So, yeah. So what did you guys think of this episode? I thought it was interesting. I thought it has potential. It's cute. Obviously, now that they're on their adventure, it's going to pick up the pace. We're not going to have to deal with parents and school. It's going to be an adventure now. So I believe that is all I have for this episode. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one.